Three things I wish I'd known when starting Audio Animals. I like these sorts of questions because they really kind of get me thinking. And the first one would be advertising. Now, I advertise a lot. I use a lot of advertising. We have a big budget for advertising, and I'm sure the majority of people watching this will have seen our adverts at some point or another. And there's a good reason why we advertise, and we've got more than enough work to each month to keep us loads and loads of work to get done. So I had someone ask me recently, like, why do you advertise if you've got all this work? Why do you bother advertising? Because this is the fact, and this is something that I learned a little while ago, and it stuck with me. And someone said to me, if you're not advertising, someone else is. So if I'm not filling that space for advertisement for someone else to pick up clients, someone else is utilising that advertising space who my clients might switch over to. And the thing with advertising is the reason it's so important to continuously, even if you've got all the work under the sun, it's advertising is so important just to keep in your client's mind, because your clients might they can forget about you, and they can go somewhere else. There's lots of ways to advertise. We use a lot of social media advertising, retargeting campaigns and things like that, and we just like to advertise to new clients, to people who are existing clients. We like to advertise to them just to kind of keep in their minds, and it works incredibly well. Basically, the more I advertise, the more money that is generated, and that kind of it's common sense that. But I wish I'd have known how important advertising was, because when we first started, and understandably, you're not making massive amounts of money when you first start a business, so the advertising budget was very small. The more we increased the advertising budget, the bigger the revenue was that was coming in. Now I totally understand how important advertising is. So that would be number one. Number two would be knowing how good in the box mixing can be if you've got a really good controller like this. I always personally went down the analog console route. I had an SSL, loved it, brilliant. And this doesn't necessarily apply back 10 years ago, because the development of plugins has come a long way since then. Over the past 5 years, plugin development is incredible. Like, plugins are now equally as good as hardware. When it comes to mixing, even when it comes to mastering, analog wins hands down, and I know that because I've tested that, and I used to do a lot of digital mastering. Now I won't do it because it's so inferior to analog mastering. But when it comes to mixing in the box, especially mixing in Dolby Atmos, mixing in the box is so much more. It's just so much better, because there's a lot of pros and cons to both sides. And one thing with mixing in the box is it's the instant recall, and that just outweighs everything, especially when you're working with an online business like us. You're doing revisions for you could be working on 6 different revisions for different clients throughout the first 2 hours of the day. These revisions, if you're recalling a big console every time, it's painful, and you don't get it back to exactly as it was every single time. And if you're doing 3 revisions on one track, for instance, you need to instantly recall. So I wish I'd have known how much better it is to work in the box than to work out the box. But that doesn't necessarily mean that 10 years ago that was the case. That is now. Now it is so much better to work in the box, and that's my own personal opinion. And that's coming from someone that was working on a solid state Logic console and now works on an Avid S4, which is a digital console. So number 3 would be how powerful video content is. Now, when I first started, it was all about images, pictures, all these sorts of things, and audio, and that's what it was all about. There was nothing really like video content wasn't a massive thing. Back 10 years ago, YouTube wasn't as massive as it was now. I wish I'd have known that YouTube was gonna. I knew it was always gonna blow up the way it kind of has, but I didn't know it was going to be such a huge thing. Now, if 10 years ago I was doing these videos, I could have monopolized the whole of the YouTube market in the sense of, like, I could have grown a massive audience straight away, much like we did with Facebook and not so much Instagram, but Facebook massively, because that was the kind of the era we was in when we started things, was this Facebook era. So I wish I'd have embraced more video content. If I was starting a business now, video content would just be one video after another, after another, after another, much like I do now. But that's what people consume nowadays. They don't consume too much in the way of pictures. They consume fast information that's 30 seconds long, that's, you know, swiping like this, just 30 seconds of video, next one. That's how people are consuming information nowadays. That's why when you look at anything like, if you scroll down Instagram, it's video, image, video, advert, image. So the algorithms are very favourable to video content.